Herman wanted from Stalin a promise. If he convinces President Roosevelt that you can take over Poland and do whatever you want with it, just let me hold on to my holdings. It's my family. And Stalin said, "Хорошо, okay." Then they started up on a conversation like this. We'll have votes and elect a democratic Polish government. For that, Stalin said, "Хорошо, it's okay." After I escorted Averell Harriman to the Spasser house, where he used to stay, 2 o'clock in the morning, and Winston Churchill to his British headquarters, I came back one night, and Stalin and Molotov, who was the foreign minister then, they were arguing with one another. Molotov was objecting that Stalin agreed to allow British representation during the election in Poland. And Stalin said to him, "What are you afraid? What is he going to do, sue me? Once our army walks in, we'll be the boss. We'll elect a democratic government." He says, "I didn't tell Churchill, Soviet style. Whatever the vote comes out, we'll make the decision. This is Soviet style." So that's what happened. So these are the type of things that went on in the Kremlin. And I became Stalin's confidant. I became one of his food tasters. And I used to show Stalin movies on the home theater in the Kremlin. And I was the translator from American movies, because he only spoke 2 languages, Russian and Georgian, Russian-Georgian, which is Gruzio. He loved cowboy movies. The problem was he was always rooting for the Indians. He hated the Americans, you know. He used to take out the gun. When he saw the Indian looking at the white guy, he said, there he is, shoot him, pointing at the screen. So, Pavlov was the official interpreter. And General Paskovitchov was the head of the interpreters. But Stalin used to ask me, keep an eye on them. I don't think they translate everything. So when they had a lot of these sessions, I used to put on a white jacket and I became the busboy. Bring a glass of water, fill Stalin's pipe, and listen what's going on. How they translate to Stalin what Churchill said, what Harriman said. I would listen in on these things. And then Stalin would take a break. He has to take a nap. He isn't feeling good. But he needed time with me, so I would translate everything. And we'd go to the other room. And I would tell him where Pavlov didn't fulfill the whole thing and where the general didn't reprimand him for not filling in all of it. And he said, okay, you walk out to the back door, I'll talk to them. He would call him in and chew him out. They didn't know that I speak English. So I was the spy. I spied on them. And when I said before we spied on commissars, if a complaint came in from a certain region that foodstuff is short, the factories are not delivering the stuff to the front, the soldiers on the front do not have enough warm socks, warm gloves, warm pants, and so on, he would say to me, go take a look what's going on there. So we did, and we traveled in pairs. So what we used to do is this. A commissar, or the first secretary of the Communist Party, or second or third secretary of the Communist Party, he's allowed to live comfortable. A small house, a garden, a car, and he gets X amount of gasoline for his car, so he can take care of an official business. That car is not for pleasure, and he cannot drive 200 miles to the countryside, because he'll be out of gas. And he's a commissar. The guy that rations out the gas needs a favor. He has a cousin, he has an uncle, needs a job. He's the one can give him a job. So the commissar used up his 40 gallons of gas, so they ship him another 200 gallons in tanks during the night. They deliver to his garage. Oh, he needs a new stove, so they deliver the stove during the night. Oh, his wife doesn't want to wash the dishes and wash the laundry, so they bring in a maid. It's not permissible. It's supposed to be equal. Socialism. But they didn't live it that way. The Russians used to have an expression, "Кто не работает, тот не кушает." I'll translate it. Those that don't work, don't eat. It's not true. Those that worked didn't eat, because they depended on the commissar to give him a raise. So, somebody writes a letter, complains to Stalin, Stalin passes it over to Beria, who was the head of the KGB. They pick up that commissar and they lock him up for 5 years in a jail. No trial, nothing. If he complains, then they'll take the family ship out. Otherwise, they'll let the family live, but he lost his job. Now, once the KGB locked him up, the warden from the prison knew that he was a big shot outside. He might go out again and become another big shot, because after all, he still knows all the other comrades are still in office. So instead of letting him sit in a solitary lockup, he takes him into the office and makes him assistant bookkeeper in the prison, administrator. He's a pencil pusher now. Comes into the office 9 o'clock in the morning, he gets his regular meals, he doesn't have to dig ditches, he doesn't have to make bricks, he doesn't have to work in coal mines. He's free. But he sits in jail. His wife can come with the kids and visit him, not when the rules require or allow, but whenever. Okay? How do you catch him? People were afraid to complain, because if he comes back, he's dead. So you keep quiet. So that's where we came in. What Sergei and I used to do is this. We used to get ourselves locked up in one of those prisons for a day or two. The easiest way to get locked up in a Soviet prison is to look for a KGB man on the street. Without provocation, grab a hold of him and hit him in the nose. He handcuffs you, takes you to jail, and it may take 6 months for trial. What we had was Stalin's letterhead and his signature on a blank piece of paper. And whichever the region was, we would fill in 24 hours or 48 hours. I should have enough information. So if I got myself locked up, Sergei would walk into the commandant of that prison and say, "Do you have a prisoner by this name?" Meaning me. And he'd say, "Yes. Stalin wants to question him. Let me have him now." So he takes me out of jail. And we used to find out that he gets cigarettes, he gets special meals, he gets meat for dinner, not just a bowl of potato soup. You have to dive in to find a potato. And if I may use the language, you don't live in a room with 40 other prisoners and they have a 55-gallon drum and that's your bathroom for everybody to see and hear and smell. If you're a big shot, they had special rooms. They give you a regular bed, they give you a radio, you have your own shower, and so on. So we'd find out which one of them are in prison, but they're not in prison. Then the commandant of the prison goes to the front. Some of the news media used to write that Stalin killed a lot of people. In the 30s, he did. But during the war, he had a philosophy, and I helped him develop that philosophy. Send him to the front, let him defend the fatherland. If he gets killed, he gets killed. He defended his fatherland. He paid with blood for his guilt against the fatherland. And Stalin loved it. And Stalin used to say, "So what happens if he just gets wounded? He doesn't get killed." Okay. But now you can't give him a position as a commissar. So if his right arm isn't working, we teach him how to work with the left arm. If one leg is off, so we give him a wooden leg, but he goes to work. And this is what used to happen to a lot of the people during the war, rather than to shoot them. Those that deserted from the front paid the supreme penalty. Used to take them to the back in a concentration camp and shoot them.
Earlier, you mentioned a very interesting incident about the Nazi concentration camps and what went on there. Would you like to cover that again?
I was in one of them for a couple of weeks. We were on a reconnaissance. The staff headquarters of where Khruschev was in charge felt that I would be the right man, even though in the beginning he didn't believe me what I brought him. But he felt I was the right man. I knew the territory and I knew the language. So we went across on a reconnaissance. Again, we dressed ourselves up as poor farmers, and we got picked up by the Nazi patrol. By the looks of it, they thought I was Jewish. So they took me to that camp, Majdanek, near Lublin.